Hello and welcome to the YouTube channel codename Fulcrum. My name is Palpatine.
I am Teal Boy.
And I'm Lucky Shark.
And this is our codename Fulcrum video about the top 10 Sith and other dark users of the Force. This list will be including our top 10 Star Wars Sith and dark users of the Force with also honorable mentions. Number 10 on our list is Darth Maul. Darth Maul was born on the planet Dathomir, and he lived with the Night Sisters and in the Night Brothers as well. He had a brother named Savage Opress, and he received his first tattoo on his head at the age of 1. As a Zabrak, he was a Zabrak, and he was born on Dathomir. As a young child, Palpatine found him and decided to take him in and train him in the ways of the dark side of the Force, becoming his Sith apprentice. Maul trained, and eventually, the first appearance that we see of him anywhere in Star Wars is in Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. We see him in a hologram talking with the Trade Federation, and then we also see him on Tatooine. He's going to spy on Qui-Gon Jinn. They get in a duel. And then we see him again in the scene at the end, at the Battle of Naboo, where he's in Theed Palace fighting Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Jinn. This is where Qui-Gon Jinn dies, and where Darth Maul is presumed dead when cut in half by Obi-Wan Kenobi. Everyone thought Maul was dead, but wait, that wasn't what happened. Maul eventually came back in Star Wars: The Clone Wars Season 4, when Savage Opress went to find him. Darth Maul was insane with huge spider legs and was obsessed with finding Obi-Wan Kenobi. Savage took him to Mother Talzin, who led the Night Sisters, and she helped him. She made him sane again and gave him a new pair of legs. Darth Maul and Savage Opress started a campaign trying to get different smuggler groups, and he trained Savage Opress's brother as his apprentice. They eventually formed the Shadow Collective, which included the Death Watch, the Hutts, the Black Sun, and also the Pike Syndicate. Eventually, after their campaigns, Darth Maul received the Darksaber after murdering Pre Vizsla and became the new leader of Mandalore. After this, Savage and Maul get in a duel with Darth Sidious, or Emperor Palpatine, and Palpatine kills Savage and says he has work to do for Maul. Now, then Maul we see again in Star Wars Rebels.
Although we have no idea of what he was doing before then.
Yes, we don't know about that. But Maul was in the Sith Temple on Malachor, and he was there pretending to be an old man who was talking with Ezra Bridger, and eventually he trains Ezra, and he is trying to recruit Ezra to become part of the dark side, and so far that is all we know of Maul. Okay, number 9 on our list is Darth Caedus, sometimes better known by his birth name Jacen Solo. Jacen Solo was one of the twins born to Han Solo and Princess Leia, and he trained to be a Jedi, as when your uncle is Luke Skywalker, your grandfather is Darth Vader, and your mother is Princess Leia, you're going to be very strong with the Force, and this was the case with Darth Caedus, as well as his sister Jaina. He trained to be a Jedi along with his uncle Luke Skywalker, and he worked his way through, but he fell to the dark side of the Force. He was sadly never redeemed, and was eventually killed by his twin sister Jaina. Right on our list is Count Dooku. Lucky Shark, take it over from here for Count Dooku.
He was born on
Sereno.
He was born to a rich family and became a Jedi at a young age, as always. Trained by Master Yoda, and later trained Qui-Gon Jinn as his apprentice. Soon he fell to the Sith and was trained by Palpatine, the Sith Emperor. And then later he fought in the Clone Wars, and then killed by Anakin in Episode 2.
Well, thank you, Lucky Shark. Just wanted to add a little bit more to that. Count Dooku also, during Episode 2, that's where we first see him. He appears at first at we see him at the meeting on the planet of Geonosis, and eventually he's there in the battle. He duels with Anakin, he cuts his arm off, and severely injures Obi-Wan, and Yoda fights in a duel with his former apprentice. And the interesting thing about their duel was that we'd never seen Yoda fight with a lightsaber on screen before like that.
Because in Episode 1, he was so feeble, it seemed like.
Yeah, we'd never seen him use a lightsaber before, so it was cool to see that. Then he went throughout the Clone Wars. He would recruit people, and he would also go on different missions working for Palpatine. And
in the Clone Wars, you also saw him as more of a leader when he was talking to the Separatists.
And it also would have been different if Anakin and Obi-Wan had killed him, or Yoda had killed him in Episode 2. The Clone Wars could have been ended much, much quicker.
Yes, but this was not the case. And
unfortunately.
Eventually, Anakin Skywalker, who was instructed by Palpatine, was told to kill Dooku. Number 7 on our list is Galen Merrick, or Starkiller. Starkiller was born to a Jedi named Kento Merrick and his wife. Eventually, Darth Vader killed his parents and took Galen Merrick to be his secret apprentice. This all happens in the Force Unleashed video game, which is an excellent video game, and if you ever take the time, The Force Unleashed and The Force Unleashed 2, they're great games, so I recommend playing them. But anyway, Galen Merrick became his secret apprentice because by the rule of 2, which was created by Darth Bane, there could only be 2 Sith, the Master and the Apprentice. So Galen Merrick being a Sith apprentice was dangerous because if Palpatine found out, he would probably kill Vader. So Galen Merrick his task was to hunt down Jedi and go through, and he did the Jedi Purge. He killed Jedi such as Shaak Ti and others, but eventually he became part of the Rebel Alliance and eventually was killed. Number 6 on our list is Darth Bane. Darth Bane was a Dark Lord of the Sith who was very powerful with the Force. He was a Sith genius, as many called him, a legendary Sith. He created the Rule of 2, which created the idea of a master and an apprentice. 2 Sith ruling the galaxy, hiding in secret until they would come out of the shadows and strike again. Darth Bane Darth Bane has the Bane trilogy, which is a very good series to read, and Bane, that tells Bane's whole story, but eventually Bane is also then again seen in Star Wars The Clone Wars, The Lost Missions, when Yoda goes and talks with his spirit. And that is Darth Bane.
One other thing you should have maybe said is that he fought in the Jedi-Sith War.
Oh.
Well, it's fine. So who's
Okay.
next?
Number 5 is Darth Raven. Raven was a Jedi who fell to the dark side. Raven was extremely powerful with the Force, and Raven was distinct for his mask in the Old Republic video games. He fell to the dark side along with his apprentice, Darth Malak, and they went and they did many missions. They killed many, and eventually a Jedi by the name of Bastila Shan had it so that way his memories would be erased. So then Revan was redeemed, became a Jedi again, and he had no memory of what he had done as a Sith. Then he eventually ended up marrying Bastila Shan, and then they gave birth to a child named Vaner Shan, and that's Darth Raven. Number 4 on our list is Kylo Ren. The Lucky Shark, please take it away about Kylo Ren.
Kylo Ren was first, his parents were Han and Leia, which later broke up as far as we see in the movies. He was taught by Luke Skywalker, and later went to the dark side and trained by a mysterious Sith Lord named Snoke. Does anybody else have any comments?
Well, first of all, in Episode 7, he was seen mostly in the most parts of the movie. He also was known to kill his own father, Han Solo, and tried to persuade Rey to turn to the dark side.
Yes. Another thing I wanted to get into a little more detail about Kylo Ren is, as a child, Han and Leia were always gone and busy. Han was off doing missions for the New Republic, and Leia was serving as senator. So Ben felt alone and kind of like he was different, but he felt alone and he had no one there with him. He also his parents also had a tough marriage. They often fought. So Ben felt like he was kind of in the shadow of all this. And
a little bit depressed.
Yes, he was depressed during all this. And he trained to become a Jedi in Luke's new generation of Jedi, or the New Jedi Order. He also, then eventually when he was a teenager, he became influenced by a mysterious Sith Lord named Snoke. Kylo Ren then became a dark user of the Force and became part of the Knights of Ren and began to wear a strange mask, and he also eventually became obsessed with following what his grandfather, Darth Vader, had started. And so far, in Episode 7, that is all we know about Kylo Ren, and hopefully Episode 8, we will be learning quite a bit more.
Which comes out in December of this year.
December of 2017. Okay. Three on our list is Darth Plagueis, who is perhaps the most powerful Sith Lord ever. He was so strong with the dark side that he could save others from dying, and he could also use midichlorians to create life. Darth Plagueis trained Palpatine as his apprentice, and Plagueis used his name to fool people, his birth name, Higo Damask. Plagueis was trained by Bith, who is the same species as the Cantina Band, named Darth Tenebrius, and he eventually killed him, and he took Palpatine as apprentice. Darth Plagueis was known to be alive as far as Episode 1, and at that point, Palpatine had taken everything he knew from him, and eventually Palpatine, when he was becoming Supreme Chancellor, Plagueis was congratulating Palpatine, and he became kind of a nuisance to Palpatine in a way. So he went over to Plagueis' penthouse, and he went there, and they started to drink wine, and Plagueis got drunk, and more drunk, and more drunk. Eventually, he passed out and went to sleep, and that is how Palpatine killed him. That's as far as the expanded universe goes. And that's about all we know about Darth Plagueis so far. Number 2 on our list is Darth Vader.
Now, first of all, to get to know the Dark Lord Darth Vader, he's probably one of the most well-known of all Star Wars characters. If you go to ask anyone, they would probably know who he is. So, to get to know him, you have to know him starting when he was a kid. His mother, whose name was
Shmi Skywalker,
and his father was the Force. He was raised on Tatooine until he was about 11 years old.
No, he was
9 years old. He was a slave to...
He belonged to Watto. He'd previously been sold to Gardula the Hutt.
And then he won a pod race when he was about 9 years old.
By the way,
trying
to help Qui-Gon and his friends get off Tatooine.
Yes, and he defeated Sebulba, who was a Dug from the planet Malastare and a very tough pod racer.
And shortly afterward, in the Battle of Naboo, he was a huge help by destroying the Droid Trade Federation master ship. I think that's what it's called, right?
Yeah. That's a good name. Okay. And then at this time on Tatooine, he met Padme Amidala, who began to... Okay, the next character on our list is Darth Vader.
Darth Vader was born as Anakin Skywalker. He was very, very, very strong with the Force, had more midichlorians than Master Yoda.
Any other Jedi, for that matter. And Darth Vader was born on Tatooine, and his mother was Shmi Skywalker, and his father was the Force. Anakin was a talented boy. He was a slave, though. He belonged to Watto. And when he was 9 years old, Qui-Gon Jinn, and along with Padme Amidala and Obi-Wan Kenobi and others, crashed their ship, and they tried to go to Tatooine for help. They ran into Anakin Skywalker, who took them to their house, and they helped them get the ship repaired.
They needed a new part, which was a lot of money, and they did not have
the hyperdrive, and they didn't have enough credit.
So Anakin, who was an amateur pod racer, won a race against the best one in the area.
Sebulba.
Yes, he won the Boonta Eve Classic race against Sebulba and a whole bunch of other pod races. Now, the interesting thing about pod racing is no other human known of in Star Wars could pod race, other than Anakin, because Anakin had strong reflexes because of the Force. All the other pod racers were other species.
And then, at the end of episode 1, in the Battle of Naboo, he took his ship and he destroyed the Master Ship that controlled all the droids when the Gungans were busy taking care of them.
Yes, he destroyed the Trade Federation ship, and he became a Jedi Padawan to Obi-Wan Kenobi. He trained with him, and he was a defiant Padawan, always wanting to do his own thing. And by this time, he'd fallen in love with a girl named Padme Amidala,
which we have already mentioned.
Yes, Padme. And he eventually began to draw strong feelings for her, and in Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, there was an assassination attempt on her life, and Anakin was sent to keep watch over her, and the two fell in love. But during the Battle of Geonosis, Anakin fought bravely for the Jedi. And also in Episode 2, Anakin was the beginning of the path to Anakin turning to the dark side.
Fought with Obi-Wan, fought Count Dooku, and were almost killed until Yoda came to the rescue. They had a very acrobatic lightsaber fight.
And in that battle, Anakin lost his hand, which he got replacement metal hand.
Yes, and the other thing was in Attack of the Clones, his mother was killed on Tatooine by Tusken Raiders, and Anakin viciously murdered all the Tuskens, and this was the beginning of his path to the dark side. During the Clone Wars, Anakin Skywalker became a Jedi Master to Ahsoka Tano, and they went on many missions throughout the galaxy together, but eventually, after a bombing of the Jedi Temple, Ahsoka was convicted, but her charges were removed against her, but she quit the Jedi Order, and Anakin was very, very upset about this. And then in Revenge of the Sith, Anakin and Obi-Wan went to free Palpatine. On this mission, Anakin killed Count Dooku, and this began Anakin's turn to Palpatine's apprentice. And then Order 66 happened. Anakin helped kill Mace Windu.
And that time he became Darth Vader.
Yes, he became Darth Vader, as we all know and love him. And also, his wife was pregnant with twins, Luke and Leia, but he didn't know that they were twins, and eventually he turned to the dark side, and Obi-Wan and him got in a duel on Mustafar, which burned him severely.
He lost most of his limbs.
And that is why he wears his mask and his full body suit.
Which he hated wearing. He tried to get his lungs and everything repaired so he didn't have to wear the armor on him, but it bothered him as long as he had to wear it. And Palpatine took him and helped him, gave him his new equipment, and he continued to kill Jedi and destroy rebellion. Then, in The Empire Strikes Back, Palpatine tells Darth Vader that Luke is his son, and on Cloud City, Vader duels Luke and tells him, "I am your father," which is an iconic line from Star Wars.
And then in Episode 6, after the battle with Jabba the Hutt, he is seen.
Yes, he's seen with Palpatine, and he takes Luke to Emperor Palpatine, and Palpatine's trying to turn Luke to the dark side, and he wants Luke to give in to his hatred, but Luke refuses to do so, and when Palpatine begins to strike at Luke, Palpatine picks up Palpatine and throws him into a reactor to his death,
severely injuring Vader because of all the Force lightning that Palpatine is doing, affecting him.
Yes.
Especially since he has his electronic suit. It soon malfunctioned and turned off.
And then the last we see of him is his ghost in Anakin Skywalker form on the party of Endor after the destruction of the second Death Star. And
the closest we see to him in the new movies is his mask.
And he's also in Rogue One Star Wars story.
Yes.
Now, the honorable mentions for this list, who didn't make it to number 1, are Asajj Ventress, Darth Malak, Darth Malgus, Darth Nihilius, Exar Kun, Darth Vitiate, and the Grand Inquisitor.
I know there are other also Sith and Darkside users that didn't make this honorable mention.
But maybe we can make another video sometime doing other things.
Yes, please feel free to put other suggestions in the chat below, in the comments below.
Or the discussion section.
Yes, and we will discuss them and possibly consider it and make another video. Number 1 on our list is Emperor Palpatine.
The Grand Sith himself.
Yes. debatedly the greatest Sith Lord who ever lived. Chief Palpatine was born on the planet Naboo to wealthy parentage. He had hatred to his family, whom he eventually killed, and as a teenager began to fall to the dark side under the teachings of Darth Plagueis. Now, Palpatine began to get involved with politics and became a senator from the planet of Naboo, and eventually worked his way up to the Supreme Chancellor of the Galactic Republic. With this powerful position, he also worked as a Sith Lord from the shadows, training Darth Maul, Count Dooku, and eventually Darth Vader. During his political rise, as Supreme Chancellor of the Galactic Republic, he started the Clone Wars, which was a galaxy-wide conflict, and it was caused between the Jedi and the Confederacy of Independent Systems, or the Separatists. Now, this war dragged on until Anakin fell to the dark side and became Darth Vader after Grievous and Dooku were killed, and then the Empire began. It was born 19 years before the Battle of Yavin, and it became the birth of Empire. Palpatine ruled the Galactic Empire with an iron fist, destroying any rebellion that tried to stand towards his power. He was a strong leader, even though he was a dictator and horrible and cruel. However, this led to Darth Vader's rise as well, and Palpatine kept an iron grip on the galaxy. 4 years after the Battle of Yavin, Luke Skywalker and the Rebel Alliance had risen, and Darth Vader knew that Luke was his son because of Palpatine. Palpatine was very deformed and old at the time, deformed because he tried to kill Mace Windu, who deflected Palpatine's Force lightning with his lightsaber, and it fell back on Palpatine's face and deformed him greatly. So at this point, Palpatine is weak and old and frail, and he's trying to turn Luke to the dark side to become his new apprentice and take his place. And Palpatine tries to lure him, but Luke refuses, which angers Palpatine. And Palpatine uses all of his hatred to electrocute Luke. And eventually Vader comes in, picks up Palpatine, and throws him into the reactor core for the death of his original body. In the Star Wars Expanded Universe, Palpatine's body had been cloned, and his clones come after the defeat of Grand Admiral Thrawn, and they cause more trouble for the new Jedi. But eventually, all of his clone bodies are destroyed, and Luke and Mara Jade destroy it, so that way Palpatine could never again come back. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe and
leave a like
and comment to tell us your ideas.
Yes, and please keep an eye out for more videos. Thank you for watching, and may the Force be with you always.